Investment managers have a great responsibility in managing their clients' investments. If investors suffer losses, investment managers can be held liable under civil and criminal law. Here are some of the responsibilities of investment managers. Civil liability, fiduciary responsibility. Investment managers have a fiduciary responsibility to act in the best interests of their clients. Duty to manage carefully. Investment managers must manage investments carefully and professionally. Duty to provide clear information. Investment managers must provide clear and accurate information about investments to their clients. Liability for losses. Investment managers can be held liable for losses suffered by their clients if it is proven that the investment manager has made an error or negligence. Criminal liability, fraud. Investment managers can be prosecuted criminally. Vexatious litigation is a legal term that refers to the practice of filing lawsuits or legal processes repeatedly without basis and with the intention of disturbing, delaying, or complicating the opposing party, rather than seeking legitimate justice. Such lawsuits are generally filed without a strong legal basis and are often aimed at the same person or institution with the motive of abusing the justice system. Characteristics of vexatious litigation. Lawsuits are filed repeatedly for the same or similar cases, has no clear legal basis or facts. The motive is to disturb, seek revenge, or complicate the opposing party, not intended to obtain justice, but rather to create a litigation burden. The previous decision has become final, but is still submitted again in a similar form. Vexatious litigation practices in Indonesia. Although there is no official term, vexatious litigation in Indonesian laws, foreign investment PMA can trade motorcycle spare parts online in Indonesia, but must comply with several applicable rules and regulations, such as 1. Business license. PMA must have a valid business license from the Indonesian government, such as a trade business license (IUP) or a trade services business license (IUJP). 2. Compliance with regulations. PMA must comply with applicable trade, tax, and employment regulations in Indonesia. 3. Product quality. PMA must ensure that the motorcycle spare parts traded are of good quality and in accordance with applicable standards. 4. Taxes and duties. PMA must comply with applicable tax and duty regulations for the import and sale of motorcycle spare parts. By complying with applicable rules and regulations, PMA can trade motorcycle spare parts online in Indonesia legally and effectively.
Menurut Hukum Ketenagakerjaan di Indonesia, jika karyawan kontrak dipaksa untuk resign dan kemudian melamar lagi, ada beberapa hal yang perlu dipertimbangkan. Pemutusan hubungan kerja, PHK. PHK yang sah. Pemutusan hubungan kerja harus dilakukan dengan cara yang sah dan sesuai dengan peraturan perundang-undangan. Prosedur PHK. Perusahaan harus mengikuti prosedur PHK yang berlaku, termasuk memberikan pemberitahuan dan pesangon kepada karyawan.
Perpetual loans stand out as a unique financial instrument, lacking a fixed repayment period, which grants borrowers the freedom to utilize funds without the pressure of settling principal amounts promptly. These loans require regular interest payments, allowing for manageable cash flow and enabling projects that demand long-term financing. However, this flexibility comes with significant risk for lenders as they face uncertainty regarding the repayment of principal. The allure of perpetual loans is evident, particularly in their capacity to support ongoing financial needs without immediate payoff obligations. Yet, potential borrowers must weigh this flexibility against the reality of potentially high interest costs in the long run. Understanding both the advantages and inherent risks is crucial for making informed financial decisions in the realm of perpetual loans. Perpetual loans stand out as a unique financial instrument, lacking a fixed repayment period, which grants borrowers the freedom to utilize funds without the pressure of settling principal amounts promptly. These loans require regular interest payments, allowing for manageable cash flow and enabling projects that demand long-term financing. However, this flexibility comes with significant risk for lenders as they face uncertainty regarding the repayment of principal. The allure of perpetual loans is evident, particularly in their capacity to support ongoing financial needs without immediate payoff obligations. Yet, potential borrowers must weigh this flexibility against the reality of potentially high interest costs in the long run. Understanding both the advantages and inherent risks is crucial for making informed financial decisions in the realm of perpetual loans.
Legal protection for people with disabilities in working in Indonesia has been regulated in several laws and regulations. The following are several important aspects related to legal protection for people with disabilities. Rights of people with disabilities. Equal employment opportunities. People with disabilities have the same employment opportunities as non-disabled people. State and private companies are required to provide equal opportunities and treatment to people with disabilities. Protection from discrimination. People with disabilities are protected from discrimination in all aspects of life, including in the world of work. Recognition and protection of human rights. Recognition and protection of human rights for people with disabilities must be realized in the form of policies and laws and regulations. Legislation, Law Number 13 of 2003 concerning
non-competition clauses, NCC, in employment contracts can be enforced in Indonesia, but with certain conditions and limitations. Here are some things to note. Legal requirements. 1. Rationality. Non-competition clauses must have reasonable time and territorial limitations. 2. Compensation. Employers may need to provide compensation to workers in exchange for the restrictions. Limitations. 1. Not hindering workers. Non-competition clauses must not hinder workers from finding new jobs or developing their careers. 2. Not violating human rights. Non-competition clauses must not violate human rights, such as the right to work and earn a living. Legal regulations. 1. Civil Code, KUH Perdata, regulates non-competition clauses. 2. Employment regulations, regulates the rights and obligations of workers and employers. Enforcement. 1. Civil law, non-compete clauses can be enforced.
In Indonesian criminal law, liability for compensation concerning criminal acts committed by individuals with mental disorders, ODGJ, can be intricate and involve multiple parties. If deemed capable and financially responsible, the ODGJ themselves may be liable for damages. However, this depends on individual assessments of their mental capacity. Alternatively, guardians or trustees may bear responsibility if the ODGJ is under care, reflecting their duty to supervise and safeguard the individual's actions. Moreover, in certain scenarios, family members might be implicated if found negligent in monitoring the ODGJ, amplifying the impact of familial obligations in such unfortunate events. The routes for pursuing compensation include merging criminal cases with compensation claims, filing civil lawsuits, or seeking restitution through designated agencies, ensuring that victims have various avenues to recover losses. In the realm of limited liability companies, LLCs, shares are categorized primarily into two classifications: voting and non-voting shares. Voting shares empower shareholders to engage in the decision-making processes during general meetings, amplifying their voice in significant company matters. Conversely, non-voting shares provide a pathway for investment without the influence of voting rights, appealing to those focused solely on financial returns. Special rights shares represent another intriguing classification, endowing holders with specific advantages. These shareholders can nominate board members, ensuring their interests are represented at the highest levels. Additionally, they enjoy preferential treatment when it comes to dividends and asset distributions during liquidation, securing their financial benefits before others. Lastly, other share types like common and preference stocks play vital roles. Common stocks grant claims to income and assets, while preference stocks prioritize dividend payouts, further diversifying investment opportunities in LLCs. Before signing an employment contract, thorough understanding is essential. Begin with the contract information, ensuring clarity on the company name, address, and business type, as well as your job title and description. Be certain about salary, payment methods, and any bonuses associated with the role. Consider the obligations and rights laid out in the contract, noting the contract and probationary periods, as well as performance evaluations that might affect your future. Next, review the company policies outlining working hours, leave entitlements, and the terms of resignation or termination. Pay special attention to non-compete and confidentiality clauses that could impact your career options. Finally, explore potential for career development through training programs and the company culture that supports personal and professional growth, ensuring it aligns with your aspirations.
In Indonesia, the legal rules for digital nomads have not been fully specifically regulated in one regulation, but several regulations may apply to those who work remotely and use digital technology. Here are some relevant legal aspects. 1.2. Electronic Information and Transactions Law, UITE, regulates electronic transactions, personal data protection, and electronic system security. Digital nomads need to understand these rules to avoid violating the law. Personal data protection. Digital nomads must ensure that the personal data they handle or store is safe and not misused. Electronic transactions. This rule regulates online transactions, including electronic payments and contracts. Visa and residence permit. Foreign digital nomads need to understand the visa and residence permit rules in Indonesia. Several institutions have also begun to review the concept of a digital nomad. The alter ego doctrine is a legal concept used to penetrate the corporate veil and demand personal liability from shareholders or company directors. This doctrine is applied when the company is used as a tool to commit illegal or unfair acts. The application of the alter ego doctrine usually involves several factors, such as 1. Dominant control. Shareholders or company directors have dominant control over the company. 2. Asset mixing. Company assets and personal assets of shareholders or company directors are not clearly separated. 3. Illegal or unfair acts. The company is used to commit illegal or unfair acts. By applying the alter ego doctrine, the court can demand personal liability from shareholders or company directors so that they cannot hide behind the company's legal entity.
If a contract employee is forced to resign and wants to reapply, there are several things to consider according to Indonesian law. Rights of contract employees who are forced to resign. Contract employees who are forced to resign are entitled to compensation money, the amount of which is calculated based on the term of the contract that has been implemented. Companies that force contract employees to resign are required to provide compensation money in accordance with Article 15, Paragraph 1 of PP Number 35 of 2021. Legal steps. If employees feel forced to resign, they can file a lawsuit with the Industrial Relations Court to fight for their rights. Employees need to prove that there was pressure from the company so that the resignation was not done voluntarily. There is no rule that explicitly prohibits employees who have been forced to resign.